But notice that Jesus did not really spend a lot of time hanging out with the Jewish religious folk because they thought they had everything they needed. So he establishes an understanding with those of us who are on the fringes of society because it is important for him to know that as he do his God thing, he has to make an impact upon us, not through miracles, but through relationship. The problem, Deacon Nobles, with the church and Christianity today is this tendency to want to do something good for somebody, but yet it is corrupted with an attitude of arrogance, self-righteousness, and pride, rather than doing it because it needs to be done and it's a fellow brother or sister that's in need. Howard Thurman, in his book Jesus and the Disinherited, contend those who live as our neighbors as objects of missionary endeavor and enterprise without being at all willing to treat them either as brothers or as human beings, that ultimately we wind up objectifying them and seeing them not as a man, woman, boy, or girl, not as someone that is created in the image or likeness of God, but we look at them as something else to do. In other words, when we think of persons who are sick or suffering or struggling as another chore that must be attended to, or another task that must be done, or another problem that must be solved, rather than someone who is also created in the image and likeness of God, then what we as church folks wind up doing is having the same judgmental, Pharisaic attitude that was displayed in Jesus' day. This is why we question how somebody get in a bad situation, because what we want to do is figure out how they wind up there so we can judge them before we extend a helping hand to lift them up. But when you look at Jesus, whenever he entered a hurtful, broken predicament, he never asked, how did you get here? But what Jesus did was ask, do you want to do what's necessary to get out of the hell that you're in and ensure you don't get back in it again? That's right. You know, the unfortunate reality is that when some of us try to help folks who are down and out, we trying to figure out, did you get there because you gambled your money at the boat? Or did you get in the mess that you're in because you smoked it up or you drank it away? But Jesus, whenever he went to help somebody, never asked any of those questions. He just wanted to know, do you want to be made well? Right. If you want to be made well, then take up your bed and walk. If you want to be made well, then let me put this pharmaceutical salve on your eyes and you go wash in the pool of Siloam. If you want to be well, get up from where you are and move to where you need to be. The problem with us is we wind up misappropriating the love of God and we misidentify where Jesus is in the world, because unfortunately we look at God through Jesus Christ as some cosmic bellhop who is the divine ATM machine dispensing out blessings if we have a certain mixture of praise and worship, while being disconnected from sacrificial giving and authentic relationship with God and with each other. God is not your Santa Claus where you come up with your wish list of things to satisfy your selfish desire and your lustful disposition. But God is in Jesus the one who sees us at our worst and still loves us, who sees the tragedy of our lot and yet knows how triumphant we can be, who sees our sin but has the power to bring out the saint in us, who recognizes the victimization of our reality but has the powers to make us victors in Christ. And aren't you glad that God did not give up on you or me? Aren't you glad that God loved us so that God takes the risk, knowing full well that some of us are going to deny him and disregard his love and have contempt for his son and question the reality of the sacrifice. But yet and still, God decides to come down in the form of Jesus and give his life for each and every person that's willing to accept all that Jesus Christ went through. So this basically means that not only did Jesus die for goody two-shoes, but Jesus died for that no good thug that will not come to church, that Jesus died for the atheist that does not believe in him, that Jesus died for the agnostic that denies him, that Jesus died for the most wretched and for the most vile of society, because he wants everybody to know that you can have a second chance in God. And while y'all want to sit in church and look so holy and sanctified, I'll admit that I am disinherited, because I'm here to confess that he looked beyond my faults and he saw my need and decided that I am going to stop sending somebody else to handle what I can handle. I'm going to go and handle it myself.